Welcome back to the Astro Read. We are your hosts, Stella and Nayeli. This podcast is all about astrology, celebrity news, and how to use astrology in your everyday life.
Welcome back to our current subscribers and hello to all our new viewers tuning in today. If you're new and like our content, please feel free to subscribe to the Astro Read. By continuing to gain subscribers, it allows us to continue making content, and your comments help us to get ideas on new episodes and what topics you like best. So keep those comments coming. So today's episode
Awesome.
is definitely I'm very interested in presenting this. It's all about what can we expect of the winter season 2023-2024. So let's get into it. There's lots going on this winter season.
Yes, and thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. I know it's been a long time since our last episode, but hopefully 2024, we will have it together and at least bring out some really good content that you guys can enjoy, especially about celebrity news. We know a lot of things happen in 2023, but we also know a lot of more things are going to happen in 2024. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to 2024. I don't know about you tuning in, but 2023 was a very tumultuous year, at least for me and for a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to closing the door on 2023 and entering into 2024. And we start the winter season December 21st, 2023, and we start with Capricorn season coming up. And even though it's towards the end of the year, Capricorn is the sign that's all about working towards a legacy. It's really a hardworking sign, an entrepreneurial sign. So even though we're wrapping up the year as the winter starts, with Capricorn season starting, it could be a time where you're also trying to juggle work as well, while we're in the midst of Mercury Retrograde being in Sagittarius. So Stella, what are your thoughts on that, on how the winter starts?
Really, this whole season is going to be very transformational. Lots of movement in Pluto energy, lots of Aquarius energy going on. But this Capricorn sun entering Capricorn moment, and really all of the planets that will follow, including, the full moon that is going to be in Cancer, all of the things that go on with Jupiter, etc., throughout this season are just going to be very transformational. And that sun in Capricorn is really going to be our grounding energy because, and I know it's a sun, but it's like everything is going to be everywhere. Everyone is going to be everywhere. And you got to focus, keep your eyes on the prize. And whether it's about transitioning into your independent work, which I feel a lot of people might do this season, or you're focusing on your career path and how you can improve it and what new job you're going to get and things like that, keep all of that in mind, because whatever you planned on doing 2023, it might look totally different, and the triggers and the issues that might come up might force you to actually make a decision. What I'm going to tell you for this season: do not resist the change. Don't sit around and wait for the opportunity. And especially if you have to, let's say, present yourself in a more official way, or you have to create content online in order to obtain the goal you want, like, don't be afraid of those steps you need to take. Sun and Capricorn energy is all about that work life, full focused work life. And all of the other planets that are coming up in this winter are going to support a person who wants to totally revolutionize where they're going to be at the end of 2024. So yeah, it's awesome. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I feel, and we'll get into this as the episode goes on, but I feel like there's this tug and pull between Aquarian energy and perhaps Capricorn energy and other types of energies. And there's different ways that could be interpreted. But I feel like what came up for me is that tug and pull of figuring out what's good for you as an individual and what's good for everybody involved in your life, and kind of that tug and pull and figuring out, okay, what side do I choose? Or is there a happy medium to pick, as we get into kicking off 2024? So, and then as we end 2023, on December 26th, we have the full moon in Cancer, which is also happening on the same day that Chiron goes direct. So for me, when I'm thinking Cancer, which is an emotional sign, and then Chiron, which is an asteroid that represents internal wounds, for me, December 26th, which happens to be the day after Christmas, for those that celebrate Christmas, it could be a very like emotional day, perhaps. So, you know, what are your thoughts on that, Stella, especially with the aspects that could be happening on this full moon, and your thoughts on Chiron going direct from the Chiron retrograde that started this past summer in 2023?
Mm. Oh man, I mean, just that full moon in Cancer, just the idea that you've had all of this time overwhelming probably with family, and you're
Mhm.
finally decompressing. You can really evaluate like, where am I going to spend my next holiday? What am I going to do? Especially Mercury was retrograde on the 23rd in Sagittarius. So
Mhm.
you're already probably in the regret stage, like things are not going as planned maybe, or the plans that you had, the well-laid plans, absolutely blew up in your face. You want to be going with the flow, letting things go. The full moon in Cancer, very forgiving energy that, Cancer is very nurturing. And maybe you've completed the project of having your family over, and it's like now it's the cleanup time. Now it's the time to transition into relaxing before the new year, whatever it is. But I do feel like that powerful connection between Chiron is a healing energy from maybe the familial wounds that you've had, or the connections that have been missed that you maybe were able to connect with this time, and you're going to use this full moon to reflect like, what a great time or what a disaster.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's great,
Yeah,
I'm
hopefully.
not
And yeah, I mean, this full moon, for the most part, has good aspects. It has a trine, a sextile, a conjunct with Vesta, and it only has, I would say, one truly tricky aspect. This full moon opposes Mercury, which is the planet of communication. And like you mentioned, Stella, during this time, Mercury is still going to be retrograde in Sagittarius. Mercury isn't as comfortable in Sagittarius because it's opposing its ruling sign. So I think if there's any challenge during this full moon, it's around communication or thought processes and having to overcome that. But overall, there's a lot of positive energy that can support you during this full moon. And with Chiron having been in Aries, uh, it's really a time to heal our wounds over our sense of selves. How do we move forward with what we want? How do we be a little bit selfish even? And how do we develop or maintain that assertiveness to go after the things we want in life? So I think overall, there's good energy to get over this. And if we do get over December 26th, we move on to more positive energy coming towards the end of December into the very start of 2024. On December 29th, we have Venus, the planet of love and finances, entering the free spirited sign of Sagittarius. So that could add some positive energy over our finances, our romances going on. Perhaps we could be more lighthearted about our love interests or our relationships. Or, we could plan a trip with our finances, but make sure to be careful with how you're spending that money. I know
Yeah,
finance,
you might overspend,
yeah. So be
especially with
careful to
Venus and
not do that.
Sagittarius. Like, I'm done with all this familial trauma that I had
Yeah.
to deal with, and you end up overspending on a luxurious trip to get over all of
Yeah.
it.
So be
Like, that's
careful.
the energy it's giving me.
Yeah, be careful. After the holidays and right before New Year's, there tends to be some deals. I know for people that are based in Canada or the UK, there's Boxing Day, and just everywhere else, there might be deals. So look out for that. Try not to overspend with Venus being in Sagittarius. And then on December 30th, right before New Year's Eve, we have Jupiter going direct. Jupiter had been retrograde since September 4th, 2023. And it's interesting that Jupiter is going direct in the sign of Taurus, which is another sign related to money. So that could be very opportune for people. It could be a time where maybe a new money making opportunity can come forth, or you can get some help with sorting out your finances. So even though Venus will be in Sagittarius, which might cause you to overspend, you might have some luck with figuring out how to maybe make some more money to help with that spending. So
Yeah,
yeah, what are your
and I
thoughts,
just
Stella, as
wanna
we?
say, like,
Mhm.
watch out, because it might mean that prices for goods, prices for, earthly goods like food and
Mhm.
like things that come from the earth, food, animal prices, things like that, like products, excuse me. They might expand, they might increase. So if you have the opportunity to make more money, whether that's in a new job or you have a new opportunity online or something that you sell, take advantage of it because we're going to need a lot of money to get through 2024.
Oh my
It
gosh, I'm
just seems
not.
like a year where we'll make a lot of money and we'll lose a lot of money, but hopefully we'll be on the side of the take and not, the ending up at the other end.
Oh my gosh, I hope so. Yeah, that scares me. The whole like losing money
Yeah.
aspect. Yeah,
Well,
with 2023 already being tough. So yeah, so that
mhm.
wraps up 2023, and then we get into 2024, and right on New Year's Day, January 1st, 2024, we have Mercury going direct. Which is so interesting. We start the year with some sort of important energy going forward, and I think that's just really coincidental. Mercury will still be in Sagittarius, but at least it'll be starting to move forward into a sign it's more comfortable in, which will be Capricorn. And then a few days later on January 4th, we get some Capricorn energy with Mars, the planet of action, going into Capricorn, and then the new moon in Capricorn on January 11th. So Stella, what are your thoughts on the start of 2024?
Well, this Capricorn energy, I mean, like, first of all, Mercury going direct in Sagittarius, very lucky sign, very expansive energy. We already had Jupiter direct literally 2 days before. So, and the first sign of the year usually sets the tone for the year. So I'm going to say, whatever plans, whatever communications, whatever energies you have towards building something this year, they might actually have good luck because of this first energy of Mercury going direct. Whether we have, retrogrades, whatever goes on this year, this Mercury direct, I feel like Mercury is not a benefic or malefic planet, but it's in a more benefic sign. It's in a more positive sign. We might have plans that actually follow through. We might have ideas that we follow through with. Um, you know, Positive communications with each other, positive communications, between nations, between societies and different factions. So hopefully this is good overall as a society. But as we continue, Mars entering Capricorn, that harsh energy going into Capricorn, it reminds me of just the idea that we have to work hard to play hard, right? We have to work hard to have the travel experiences we want, to have the society we want, to have the things that we want as a society. So that work hard energy might also be integrated in throughout this year, and followed by the new moon in Capricorn and all of these fun planets just hitting us one after the other, preparing us for a year where we'll have to work our butts off to get what we want, whether it's independently or for an organization. Be ready to work. Even if things are going to end up good, you got to work. It's not about the person who has the idea. It's about the person who lays out the plans and execute. So good luck to all of you. Hopefully you'll be able to follow through with the ideas that you've had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then adding to the Capricorn energy towards the first half of January, I also forgot to mention Mercury then transitions into Capricorn on January 13th, and it'll stay there until February 5th. And so Mercury moves into a little bit of a better spot. I think it could be a time where we could put our thoughts into concrete action because Mercury is a planet that's all about thought processes, and then Capricorn is a sign that's all about establishing structure. So maybe if we had ideas towards the end of 2023 or at the very beginning of 2024, we can start taking concrete actions to make that a reality. So that can add to that hardworking energy. And then when we get to January 20th specifically, that is when things start to shift into a more Aquarian vibe. January 20th is when Aquarius season starts. And then coincidentally, it's also the day when Pluto goes back into Aquarius when it had been in Capricorn before that. So January 20th is a big Aquarian day. Stella, how big of a deal do you think January 20th is for 2024? And just
I
in general.
mean, two and like just Pluto and Sun on the same day. going
Mhm.
into Aquarius, like if that doesn't set the tone for what I've been saying, follow your dreams, Aquarian
Mhm.
energy. You know what I mean? Shift your perspective. Have an open mind. That air energy infused into, rapidly changing throughout this year and being able to adapt. You know what I mean? If you will adapt, your plans, your ideas, they'll die. So you need to adapt. And of course, transformation. We're going to be transformed by this Pluto and Aquarian energy for the next few years. So you're going to get a little taste, if you haven't already, with these past movements of Pluto, of what is coming, of what you're going to be able to generate. It's such an exciting day, but also, it gives me the vibes of social revolution
Yeah.
because it is Aquarius and it is representative of the people. But also, this idea that we need to hold our leaders accountable, we need
Mhm.
to hold our organizations accountable, we need to be more servant than,
Mhm.
taking from what we are putting into our work. Whether it's government or the private sector, whether it's our families or our individual lives, we have to give more than we're accepting. And sort of maybe like I have this idea that Pluto in Aquarius is going to give a death to this selfish, self-focus of, solutions that are for me. There'll be solutions now generated, especially with Jupiter and Taurus, especially with all of this energy in Aquarius, that will be for the populace, that will be for the greater good, that will be for the earth. I'm very positive about it, but also very leery because it is
Mhm.
Aquarius. So if you find yourself, in the middle of a protest on January 20th, or in the middle of, a silent protest online, like whatever it is, because it's also air energy. So it might be, not shopping at certain stores, or, protesting certain individuals, things like that. Like there might be some of that energy that day or throughout the month and year of 2024 and January, etc. So, that's what I get. I get a tone of revolution and also evolution for
Mhm.
us as individuals and as a society. So it'll be awesome. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a great year, I think.
Yeah. And I
Fun.
mean,
Let's call it fun. Not dangerous. Fun.
okay, so yeah, I mean, I want to think of the positive. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of both. It's going to be a mixed bag, but it's all about
Yeah.
how we approach it. And this, shifting of signs with Pluto is another chapter of a saga, if you will, that has been going on since 2008. And for anybody listening, if you want to see how this Pluto shifting of signs has been affecting your life potentially, definitely reach out to one of us or look at your natal chart if you can pull it up from a website like AstroTheme or astro.com, so you can see where Aquarius and Capricorn fall in your chart and where Pluto could have been. But for those that are not familiar, get help from an astrologer. But, since 2008, Pluto has been spending time between Capricorn and Aquarius, mostly a little bit in Sagittarius. And what's happening now with Pluto going into Aquarius is a little sneak preview of what we can expect when the Pluto and Aquarius era starts in November of 2024. Once Pluto goes back into Aquarius during that time, Pluto will stay there for 20 years. And for this little segment, Pluto will be in Aquarius until September 1st. And then it goes back, it retrogrades back into Capricorn, and then will come back into or come forward into Aquarius for 20 years. So, keep track of what will happen to you between January 20th and September 1st, because that will, determine what will be happening to you and what will be main revolutionary themes in your life for 20 years starting November 2024. So it's definitely a big deal, but it'll affect us all a little bit differently depending on the areas of life that will be highlighted. But like Stella said, the big theme is going to be revolution and evolution. And so it's definitely not something to take lightly and something to take note of. And then on January 23rd, we get Venus entering in Capricorn. What I'll say about that is, it switches from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Capricorn is a sign about establishing a structure, an earth-based sign, so it's a more stable sign. So January 23rd with Venus going into Capricorn could be a time where maybe we try to make our finances more stable and set up some concrete goals. Or it could be a time when we start thinking a little more seriously about our romantic lives. Maybe if we've had little flings and little things going on, towards the end of 2023, we might want to decide, okay, do we keep this love interest around, or do we move on to something that's going to be stable? But we might be playing it more for keeps starting January 23rd when it comes to love.
Yeah. And there
Yeah.
definitely might be more focus on financial success than love in general. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also that Capricorn love. It makes me think, especially with all the Aquarius energy that's happening, it just makes me think of that father figure and sort of telling you like what your limits are,
Mm-hmm.
what your boundaries are, maybe setting boundaries with your significant other if you're in a relationship. And of course, maybe building together because Capricorn represents a person standing in the world, maybe building together with the person that you love a home, or purchasing of a business, or expanding your footprint when it comes to what you're able to have in this earthly realm. You know what I'm saying? Like how you're able to monetize maybe some of your ideas, things like that. So it'll be a fun time with Venus in there, but definitely more boundaries and less sort of that lovey-dovey feeling.
Yeah, definitely a little
Yeah.
bit of a switch, but it could be a good thing depending on how you approach it. And
Yeah.
then as we wrap up January, we get more Aquarian related energy, but from different angles. So on January 25th, we have a full moon in Leo, which Leo is the opposite sign of Aquarius. And to me, this full moon seems like it's going to be pretty challenging. It only has one positive aspect and quite a bit of challenging aspects. So it's going to definitely be more challenging than the other new and full moons that have happened so far in the winter at this point. You've got this full moon in square to Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. You've got it opposing Pluto, the planet of transformation. You have it in conjunct Saturn, the planet of restriction. And you also have it in conjunct the planet of love and finances, Venus. And then 2 days later, we have on January 27th, Uranus going direct, and Uranus is the planet associated with Aquarius. And this could, again, with Uranus going direct, bring that tug and pull between, do I do what's best for me, or do I do what's best for everybody? Do I take on Leo qualities of focusing on myself and putting myself in the spotlight, or do I focus on Aquarian qualities of doing what's best for all and shaking things up? So Stella, what are your thoughts on this full moon energy?
Uh, well, I mean, we already have Jupiter in there going direct, so thank God. And then Uranus finally joining in Taurus, that movement direct. I feel like it's very explosive. Uranus is unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a few days before all of that Aquarius energy. If there's not already going to be a protest, this would be a great day to start an issue, or to highlight an issue. You might get an unexpected response, an unexpected answer from your boss. Maybe you want to take a sabbatical or something out of the ordinary for a person who's a workaholic. You know what I'm saying? Like you might end up being transitioned into a whole new role that you weren't expecting at work and things like that. Especially with that Taurus energy, it could be about money. It could be about the markets. What sort of businesses are going to be highlighted for the next few years with that Pluto in Aquarius energy? Are we going to focus on our earthly needs, that Leo full moon, or are we going to focus on, sustaining ourselves throughout the future, like being a more sustainable society versus being a more, selfish society? Like I had said before, especially with that Leo full moon, we might be ending a sort of selfish side to the human
Mm-hmm.
experience, and we might be focusing more on a societal unification, or ways to make the society better as a whole. So all I have to say is don't resist the changes. Like the Uranus energy is going to come like a wave, and you're just going to be like, should I do it? Should I start this business? Should I do these activities? Should I find you know what I'm saying, should I find a new path that might be completely different from what you were expecting? It may be yes. It just depends on your own chart. more than happy to give you some guidance in that area. So come and you can reach out to either of us, but definitely make the decision that is best for the highest good of all, because it'll be in alignment with what is going on astrologically. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that might be being selfish, which is very ironic. It's like, if I don't put myself first, and the people who are using me, or the people who are not putting me in the, in the place that I would like to be, maybe I need to find a new job. Maybe I need to go out there and explore, my own business and things like that, because these people are not valuing me, etc. You know what I'm saying? Like, as an example. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's sort of like that saying, like, you have to put the, like, if you're on the plane, you have to put the mask, whatever, the air mask
Mask
on
on yourself.
yourself before you can help somebody else. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that could be hard to
Yep.
do
Yep.
if you're a helpful person, but sometimes that's what's needed, because that's what's going to stop you from enabling others, and it's going to help everybody do what they need to do. And then as we start February, we get more of that Aquarian energy. So, at the end of January, we have that full moon, perhaps wrapping up some Leo-like qualities. And then we move forward into even more Aquarian energy in February. So we have Mercury, the planet of thought and communication, entering Aquarius on February 5th. For pretty much most of February, it's there until February 23rd. And then we also have on February 9th, just a few days later, the new moon in Aquarius. And new moons can bring new intentions, new beginnings. And then February 13th, February 16th, we've got Mars entering Aquarius on the 13th. And then we have Venus entering Aquarius on the 16th. So a lot of Aquarian energy at the beginning of February. And with this new moon in Aquarius, it's sort of a mixed bag from what I see. It has some positive aspects, but it also has some challenging ones. So this new moon will be square Uranus, which is an unpredictable planet, but also the planet that rules Aquarius. And then it has some other challenging aspects, but I would say the main one, in my opinion, is that square with Uranus. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that and February and how it's kicking off?
Oh man. Well, like I said, Aquarius energy. I think the fact that Mars is going first and then Venus, it might be more of a sign of more of that aggressive expression of Aquarius, where it's like, we have to hold people accountable. There has to be some sort of conversation, because Mercury is there first as well. And maybe that conversation leads to a more aggressive action. And then Venus finally comes in. We have to put our money where our mouth is. Like, if we want investments in X area of our lives, we need to take action with Mars, and we need to put money towards it with Venus. You know what I'm saying? Like, that sort of energy, where the idea we have of the life that we think we should, Aquarius being representative of our dreams, maybe we're not in alignment with it. And so now that Pluto is in there, that it's forcing us to transform, we're going to put our money where our mouth is, put our actions where we would like to go towards. And I would say it's a month of action. February, it's going to be a month where rapid things change, especially that Uranus happened a few days before this. Like, all of these changes are going to come. We're like, whoa, we weren't expecting this, but we are transitioning, because all of this is leading towards the crescendo of that, powerful Pluto in Aquarius, finally stationing in Aquarius, finally going and being in that sign for 20 plus years. And you want to be able to be that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be able to step into the person that you're supposed to be. And many people will get left behind because they don't understand that air energy that requires them to act, that requires them to just go with the flow and like breathe in this, new experience and just do it. Like, just do it, guys. Hopefully you'll be able to get something out of it that you'll be, positive, that you'll be excited about, or a transformation that will be for the greatest good of humanity, that you'll be proud of yourself, that you'll be able to say that you made a difference for your country, for your family, etc. So it's fun, but also take action, guys.
Yeah, which is great. And I think by the time February rolls around, and we've gotten past the holidays and the new year at that point, Perhaps people will be more ready to take action. But yeah, with the Pluto energy having gone back and forth between Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, for the past quite a bit of years, since 2008, that might have led to people feeling this energy of like, do I go for it? What's life supposed to be like all this back and forth. And if you think about it, since 2008, we've had so many impactful societal things that have happened: the recession, the pandemic, the insurrection, just to name a few, who we've had as leaders in the Western world. What's been going on globally? It's a lot of like back and forth.
Yeah,
And
the balance between male and female energy, like
yeah,
because it's in Capricorn, like very like male oriented energy. And
mhm,
now all of a sudden it's like, no, we have to have balance. We have to approach it in a new way. Whether we transform dating apps from one of our episodes, remember?
oh my
And we
gosh,
make it
yes.
more equitable and
Yeah.
make not only men feel more seen but also women feel more safe. So
Mhm.
that's something that might change throughout this time, especially since Aquarius, I believe Aquarius rules like the internet and like
Yeah.
the greater
Hmm.
technological experience we have as humans. So that might be something that changes with Venus in Aquarius. Maybe there's a new app that might come out next year where it's more equitable for us in terms of dating, or there's a new way for us to approach finances. People keep talking about digital currency and all this other stuff. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to start that conversation. But things might change financially, emotionally, in so many ways because of this Aquarian energy. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And so we started the winter with Capricorn energy, Aquarian energy, this dichotomy of establishing structure, but also dismantling structure and revolutionizing. And then starting on February 18th, the signs influence start to shift to Pisces energy and Virgo energy, and then wrapping things up to lead us into spring with Aries energy. So, I think February 18th is really the second chapter, the start of the second chapter of winter, and we may all feel a change in energy there. We've got Pisces season starting on February 18th, which will last until the end of winter, which will be March 19th. Then we have Mercury, so our thoughts and communication become more Piscean with that shift of Mercury entering Pisces on February 23rd. Then the day after, we have a full moon in Virgo. So, a culmination or a realization happening at that time. And then that kind of wraps up February, and we'll get into how March, the last month of winter, starts. But with this full moon in Virgo, again, quite some positive aspects, but quite a bit of challenging ones. So, Stella, what are your thoughts on how the signs influence changes in February and how that looks like for how we wrap up February and get into March?
Oh man, the end of February will be such a transformational time. I mean, really 2024, like I said, evolution, revolution. Like this is going to be, especially the fact that we've now had, I guess, two or three very challenging full moons.
Yeah.
Like it's not getting any easier, and it's
No.
just showing these oppositions, these squares, and you are going to be seeing this throughout 2024. But I don't know if there, because I have to look at every single full moon, but I don't know if there's one that's going to be easy this year. And I'm feeling like with this energy, especially since Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, was the day before, there's something connected to our interconnectedness as humans, the Piscean energy, and then how we are experiencing our earthly presence, how we're experiencing, because that's the sky and the earth, right? And or not the sky and the earth, the ocean and the earth, right? And your experience on this planet, how you've been so far, what you've been doing so far. Has it been positive? Have you been contributing? Maybe that full moon in Virgo is your wake up call. If you haven't had all the wake up calls from the month of February and January, but definitely an ending to something of an earthly experience you've had. Maybe it was a job. Maybe it was a family member or a family connection. to a place that you used to love to go to. Maybe there's a new home that you're going to transition into, a
Mhm.
new house and things like that. But really, just that earthly experience, something in there is about to end, and maybe just transition into something more beautiful. Because
Mhm.
Piscean energy for me, it's just very deep, very
Mhm.
personal. It comes like very emotional, and it's connected emotionally. And you might be communicating about how you miss something that was before, or that you
Mm.
had before. So I'm gonna see how that goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be positive. The sun in Pisces and Mercury in Pisces could bring some positive energy in terms of, maybe taking a personal solo vacation,
Mhm.
or being able to focus on your own mental health, and communicating with some sort of therapist, letting
Mhm.
go of the hangups, that full moon energy, letting go of some hangups you have about taking
Mhm.
care of your mental health and things like that. So good
Yeah.
luck to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Pisces and Virgo, they're opposite signs, and Virgo tends to be a sign that's related to logic, relying on things you've seen or sensed before. And then Pisces is all about using your, I guess, more,
Emotions.
yeah, emotions, nebulous into, ways of sensing that goes beyond what you can tangibly see, hear, taste, smell, etc. It really, Pisces is all about tuning into your sixth sense, really. So if you're trying to navigate this time of late February, you may have to rely on believing in the unseen, whatever that means to you, or really stepping into something that you never thought was possible before. So it might, kind of call you to perceive things differently. And I think the main challenging aspect for me with that full moon is the moon opposing Saturn. And Saturn is the planet all about structure. So yeah, that really leads me to think about what you were saying, Stella, this time, February 24th, having to let go or kind of move on from some sort of structure we had taking place. And Virgo is the sign that represents our daily work, our daily routine. So there might be something about that that needs to change starting around February 24th of 2024. Then we get into March. And on March 9th, we have Mercury entering the very assertive and fiery sign of Aries. And it's going to stay there for quite a while. So Mercury will be in Aries until May 15th, because there will be a Mercury retrograde in between that time. So Mercury will be in fiery Aries for over 2 months, which is quite a bit of time for Mercury to be stationed in a sign. And then just on the next day, on March 10th, we have new moon in Pisces. So again, we're, that Piscean energy coming about. And this new moon actually can be pretty positive. It has quite a bit of positive aspects. It will be in conjunct Neptune, which you can look at that in different ways. Could be a confusing time, but it also could be a time where we're enlightened to new approaches. This new moon will be sextile Uranus. It'll be next to Mercury as well, conjunct Mercury, and it'll be semi-sextile Mars. And then on March 11th, the next day, we have Venus, the planet of love and finances, entering Pisces as well. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the start of March and all the energy that's happening at that time?
Woo. I mean, the first thing, Mercury enter Aries, new plans, new ideas,
Mhm.
new solutions. And
Mhm.
like I had said earlier with the Venus entering Aquarius, putting your money where your ideas are, we continue that trend with that Venus and Pisces, because Venus and Pisces is more of that emotive spending,
Mhm.
right? That spending that comes from the heart. What are we doing in this lifetime,
Mhm.
with our family, with our friends, with our personal finances, with our familial finances? How can we transition to a more groupthink, more supportive, more helpful way to spend that money? There'll be a lot more generosity, I think, in this time. There'll be maybe like new ideas, creative ways to solve some social and societal issues, that are more based on our emotional and maybe our ability to feel empathy for others. And how can we support people and also be able to create a better society. Beautiful things might be constructed, beautiful investments. And I mean by beautiful investments, I mean things in beauty, like whether that's makeup or whether that's physical, like earthly beauty. And maybe even just like an ocean cleanup or something might happen. Like a massive cleanup of the ocean or something that we might invest in as a society or as individuals. We'll be looking at helping the planet in some way. And I don't say I'm connecting this because of the Jupiter in Taurus, because of the Uranus in Taurus, and the fact that all this earthly energy is happening with major planets, that we're just kind of like, we gotta, we got to do something about. So now that Mercury's in Aries, there'll be new ideas, new plans, new solutions in that area, as well as on an individual level. We might actually, all of the changes we'll be doing, we might actually now have to process them with that mercurial mind, like creatively. How can we transition? How can we adapt, etc.? So, yeah, it'll be an interesting time. So,
yeah. And yeah, just, from now, well, from March 9th to March 15th, speak your minds with Mercury and Aries, but be careful of the consequences because, sometimes it could lead to good things and sometimes it could lead to offending others. So, with Chiron now going direct in Aries, a lot of the things that we've been holding in might come out, starting March 9th, and that's okay. But perhaps have some extra support to help you navigate all these things that are rising to the surface. So, then on March 19th, we start spring, and we'll get into that in another episode. Let's focus on winter for now because there's going to be a lot going on. I feel like in years past, definitely last year, from what I can recall, there were a lot of retrogrades in the winter. It was more of a laid back time. But this winter, 2024, very different. Well, it's going to hit the ground
activate.
running real quick.
Activate, do it, get it done. Last year we were pensive, we were thinking. It was Venusian energy that started us off, and like it was very loving and in a very strict loving way. But now it's like Mercury's telling us, activate, do something, think about it. You know what I mean? And not just think, act, and not just act, do. And be ready for the changes that Uranus is going to bring you. Be ready for the transformation Pluto is going to hit you with. The fact that the sun and Pluto are moving at the same time into the same sign is not a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and maybe we need this on an individual level and on a societal level to act on the transformation that is necessary to reach maybe our next stage of evolution. Maybe we're going to, and I feel this for 2024 through 2026, just raising the vibration of the human consciousness, like beyond our individualistic ideologies and self. How can we as a whole, on this planet, how can we serve? How can we do more good? With Pluto in Aquarius, how can we be more servant versus self-serving? How can we be more towards the dreams that we would like, as opposed to just sitting on the ideas? Pluto in Capricorn was very capitalistic, very focused on money, focused on the individual's work ethic. We even changed how we work, you know what I'm saying? And like, we needed a whole pandemic to get us working from home, like that hard energy to get us to do what we were supposed to do from the beginning, hard as it was, but we had to transform. So the universe forced us to transform our energy, and now people don't want to go back. So what are we going to do moving forward? How are companies, maybe that's something that could change throughout the next few months, how are companies going to officially transition into the new world order? Are there going to be people that resist it? And those companies, those people and owners of businesses that resist the changes that are coming are the ones that are going to be left behind. And knowing that things are going to shift into more robotic and maybe more internet based, you also know that a lot of jobs might be changing as well. So there might be AI in certain positions that no longer need to be human run. So maybe now you need to study and learn a new skill.
Mhm.
and be ready for the next transition of human consciousness. What are the jobs of the future? What are
Yeah.
people going to need to be doing in the future? Stop focusing on what degree you got in the past, how many, masters you had, or what you did. None of that is going to matter when the new world order comes and we're forced to transition and make new decisions and have new jobs. And the groups that we thought we were a part of may no longer exist by the end of the Pluto transiting Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? All of the ideas of the jobs that we had might no longer exist in the future that we're going to experience. So be ready for that. Step up into it. And this energy of this spring, or sorry, the energy of this winter is all about that transition, about what you're going to learn, about what you have to do. Take advantage. Don't sit around and wait for the change to happen to you.
Yeah, for sure. And an energy I've noticed now, that at the end of 2023 is a lot of companies going back to that old guard of like, we want you back in the office more, which I'm very surprised by. Maybe it's that Capricorn energy leaking in as we wrap up 2023. They're announcing like, we want you back more in the office, or alluding to that potentially happening. And I feel like that might not fly next year when they actually try to put it in practice, and we get all this Aquarian energy with people kind of protesting back and saying, well, why do we have to do this? Does this make sense with the new society that we're in? Is this good for business truly? And like you said, the companies that continue with the old way of doing things might fall behind. And also the countries that do that are going to fall behind, because there's even articles coming out saying that countries that are still, really not adapting to the new hybrid work, are, losing revenue, losing, GDP, whatever you call it. It affects things on a greater level. And so, yeah, we'll see how that Aquarian energy wins out, potentially, most likely in 2024.
Yeah, just remember, Aquarius represents the internet. It represents the people. It represents our dreams and the dream life that we would like to have. As long as you're in alignment with the Aquarian energy, your future's bright. But
Mhm.
as long as you're still thinking we're in this Capricorn mode, good luck.
Yeah, so if you have
Like,
a
it's not
fortune,
about the
yeah.
workaholism and the individualistic and the capitalistic focus. It's about how can we make people's lives better? What
Mhm.
can we do to improve society? How can we create spaces that are more open for us to experience life? Life, not this little cubicle in a dark room with all these lights blaring at you, but life every day. Mothers who need to take care of their children, parents that need to pick up their kids at 3 p.m. and want to come back and work until whatever time, the creative energy and juices that we want to explore on an everyday basis that the internet allows so much creativity and so much energy for. And you can really make money
Mhm.
doing almost everything,
Mhm.
good and bad, unfortunately, but that's what it is, and that's going to be hopefully our destiny is more positive than the negative, but that's going to be the future. So good
Mhm.
luck, guys. It's a fun time.
Well, thank you all for listening. We look forward to future episodes of the Astro Read. We're happy to be back. And until next time.
Yes, see you guys.